Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's only daily television platform for small businesses. Over the past 7 years, we've understood what matters most to you, the entrepreneur, and in year 8, we're taking head-on 2 of your most pressing concerns, that of funding and mentoring. I'm Sunanda Jayaseelan. On the show tonight, bringing you a conversation with Aditya Ghosh of OYO Rooms, also a very special chat with Anshula Kapoor, the founder of Fankind. My first conversation tonight is with Aditya Ghosh, perhaps best known for his most recent stint at Indigo Airlines. In his new avatar, though, he's leading the India and South Asia operations for OYO Rooms, and I spoke to him about what it means to be at the helm of such a young brand, particularly with an entrepreneur like Ritesh Agarwal, who's so young, what it means to have a single cultural identity within the company and ensure that that is being carried forward across all their brands, the importance of branding for businesses like theirs, and his advice for small businesses watching this interview, and what some of the expansion plans are. Take a listen. You know how people perhaps are your best brand ambassadors when it comes to business like yours. Let me break that up into 2 parts. One is, any industry report you look at, whether you're looking at the tech space, whether you're looking at the retail industry, everyone says not more than, say, 20-25% of students, and that is that is a very correct estimate that's held true over the past couple of years, of students who are coming out of colleges today don't have the skill sets for the jobs they're entering. How do you ensure that you continue attracting the quality and retaining that quality? How are you training, what percentage of your costs? And for a small business then, how are you addressing that challenge?
You've touched a very favorite subject of mine. Okay. Okay. Because I think learning and development and the employee culture is, I think, the secret sauce in most successful businesses. I keep saying that, I don't keep saying, many people say it, I just keep repeating it, that culture eats strategy for breakfast, lunch and dinner, So, and that employee culture gets built up when people truly believe in the mission, they're learning and they're developing in the company while kind of displaying that behavior, and you're rewarding and recognizing people for displaying the right behavior, right? So learning and development, skilling followed by learning and development becomes a very, very important area. And I think business leaders really need to focus a lot on that. Over the past 15 years, I've always had the learning and development function report directly into me, from my office. One, I enjoy it. I do enjoy spending time with youngsters and new folks who are joining the company. But I also get to learn a lot from them. But most importantly, we are able to shape the culture there. So if I had to make that choice between having 75% of the college graduates coming with skills but with bad attitude and not knowing what we stand for, versus 10% of people coming up with no skills, but they have the right attitude, I'll always go for the latter.
The second part of my people question is the fact that you have a very young founder. Ritesh is very young.
Yes.
And from what I'm given to understand, the organization, the average age of your company is also very young. So when you're working with such a young crowd, when you're working with millennials, I see you're smiling already. What are maybe the tips or tricks when it comes to engaging with them constantly? How are you doing it differently? Because like you said, a lot of people are growing within the company, so they've stayed with you for a couple of years as well.
So the reason I'm smiling is that, Ritesh keeps saying something. He says that, Ritesh says, I was born middle-aged and I stayed middle-aged. And Aditya was born a millennial, and he says, he always says Aditya is the millennial trapped in a middle-aged body. But look, I think, I've most of my colleagues over the last 15 years have been anywhere between the age of 18 to 30, and that brings a lot of energy and enthusiasm. Now there is also a downside to it. The downside to it is that if not guided properly, that energy and enthusiasm could translate to impatience. right? That lack of years may translate to not having the wisdom of realizing what the customer really, really wants, right? Because after all, the reality of life doesn't fit an Excel sheet, right? So therefore, what has worked for me is combining the years of experience and wisdom and the sense of empathy with the energy and enthusiasm that comes from that young workforce. And especially at OYO, we have an incredible talent pool. Whether it is folks coming out of engineering schools, business schools, from various disciplines, from some of the best companies. And I think that credit, frankly, goes a lot, actually almost all of it, to Ritesh. And business leaders like myself who are running various parts of the business or have a role have only built up on that.
At OYO, you've made quite a few acquisitions over the past few years. So
Yes.
when you're talking culture, how do you ensure that culture is being integrated, is staying consistent,
Yes.
No matter what business or what area you're entering?
Yeah. I think a lot of thought goes behind, first of all, a lot of thought goes behind why are we acquiring a certain business? It's never because of scale. It is always because that new business brings in a capability that we did not have in the past. So whether it was the acquisition of the co-working business, Innovate, where Dr. Ritesh Malik brought in a certain amount of a different sort of capability, whether it was the acquisition of weddings, where Sandeep and his team brought in a certain capability, whether it is the acquisition of the vacation homes business in Europe, again a capability that we did not have. So there was a business-driven reason, which was nothing to do with just growth and scale or market share, that brought that in. But to the point that you're making, once that business thesis is validated, I think a huge amount of effort goes in to carefully planning, how the two cultures come in. As we all know, most joint ventures, most acquisitions actually fail because cultures don't come in. So how do we do that practically? There is a certain DNA that we are looking for as well, which is kind of entrepreneurial, energy and problem-solving skills. On the other hand, leaders also spend a lot of time with each other, So the acquisition of the vacation homes business in Europe happened after I joined. And I, every once in a while, would spend some amount of time with the leader in Europe, and we'll just have a freewheeling chat where he'd be like, okay, this is something new, how did you deal with it? And at the same time, there are senior leaders who are stationed there, But then I will also add one more nuance to it, right? Often when acquisitions happen, I've seen a mistake that companies end up making is that the acquirer tries to, impose their culture on the company that just came in. On the other side, in OYO, we're always trying to learn that, what are all the things that they already have that we don't need to touch at all? And what are some of the things that we need to bring in?
My last two questions then, and I do want to talk about the fact that data is becoming very crucial for businesses like yourself. How do you approach it? What are the opportunities in data for brands like yourself, for businesses which are in your industry, and therefore your advice for small businesses in terms of perhaps how they could monetize it? And on the other hand, there has also been perhaps some pushback in terms of how you're looking at, digitizing and using data, particularly when it comes to working with the government. How are you handling that? How's that working out?
This has been a big learning for me over the last 1 year. Being a highly tech-driven company like OYO, I've been fortunate to be exposed to a lot of data-driven decisions. And it's been a phenomenal experience. It helps us make decisions with far more accuracy because of the amount of data that we are looking through and that we are kind of mining to see, are we understanding consumer behavior? Are we understanding what really works at what cost and things like that? So the advice to startups is absolutely data, not just for the sake of data, but actually just go out there and see what insights it's giving you. The second thing is on how to use data, especially when dealing with consumers and things like that. I'm the one who always will say, the technology exists, but along with it comes a great sense of responsibility. And we must be aware of that role and responsibility that we play. And therefore, if there are regulations that help regulate that, work with the government to make that happen, be extremely, extremely respectful of what the law of the land is. And increasingly, I think that is the way it should happen. I'm not the one who'll say, take away regulation. Actually, I'm saying, since we know data is going to help consumers, just make sure that the regulations really work for it.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been a very interesting journey then over the past couple of years at OYO for you. Anything that you want to leave us with in terms of what's perhaps exciting over the next couple of months that you're working on?
I think we're going to really double down on how we keep the consumer at the center of all our business decision making. The second thing is that we want to continue to be a great place to work, and you will see that we will keep spending a lot of time and energy in learning and development and attracting talent. But the third, most importantly, I think, is that you'll see us increasingly walking the path of creating a financially sustainable business, because that is, I think, going to bring back a lot of confidence in the Indian sort of startup, world.
Sure. Wish you all the very best.
Thank you so much.
Great having you in studio.
I enjoyed it very much.
Thanks for your time. I'm going to take a quick break on that note. On the other side, though, we're in conversation with Anshula Kapoor of Fankind. Do stay tuned. Welcome back with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight on the show, I'm in conversation with Anshula Kapoor of Fankind. Anshula Kapoor is no stranger when it comes to either Bollywood or celebrities, but she's using that to harness the power of celebrities towards giving back through her very young startup, Fankind. I spoke to her about how she's doing that fundraising, what it means to be a young woman entrepreneur in India, and what some of her expansion plans and what she's excited about at this point. Take a listen. Anshula, great having you here in our studios, and such a vibrant person who's involved in giving back, really, and that's really exciting to be talking to you. I want to start first by talking about your background and what really led you to set up Fankind.
The journey's actually been really, really personal for me. The seed of the idea originated from the amount of fan love that I've seen my brother receive from his fans and the trickle-down effect that's had to me. So in the beginning of his career, he wasn't actually on social media.
Okay.
I was, but no one knew me, so my profiles were public, and I assumed no one will know me because I'm not an actor. They found me.
Okay.
And I became like the messenger who would pass on his fan messages to him, and because of that, I developed a relationship with his fans as well.
Sure.
So the thought of Fankind was because I've seen them give us unprecedented amount of positivity and love. Okay. I wanted to do something to give them that love in return, because they don't ask for anything. All they ask for is sometimes acknowledgement on social media. Otherwise, it's just your good times, your bad times. They're just giving you positivity and support, right?
Sure.
So Fankind actually started from there, and I realized that the fan love is not only for Arjun, but it's for my entire family. And if I want to do this, it can no longer be a small-time passion project. It must be on a much larger scale.
And you have a very interesting model. I want for you to talk about how really it works.
So the way it works is we go to a celebrity and we come up with an experience that they're happy to share with the fan. Experiences can range from having a cup of coffee with Karan Johar to having lunch with Ananya Pandey to playing a game of paintball with Varun Dhawan.
Sure.
We put those up on our website, fankind.org, and each of those experiences is attached to a charity of the celebrity's choosing. Okay. So each celebrity, and not a lot of people know this, but every celebrity that I have come across or that I have approached does a lot of good, a lot of charity quietly through their own personal life.
Sure.
So this is also a platform for them to add on to that cause and kind of also inform their fans of the causes that they are passionate about.
Sure.
So we attach each of these experiences with an NGO, and for every 200 rupees that a fan transacts on our website, they get, not only do they get a chance to meet their celebrity, but they also end up donating more than 70% of that money to the charity that the celebrity has chosen to support.
Sure.
At the end of the 40-day campaign period, because each experience is live on our website, open for donations, because you can come and donate multiple times by multiple entries. One winner is chosen completely at random by a third party called random.org. So even I don't know who the winner of any experience is going to be.
You were talking about, raising money, and when it comes to a digital platform, in the past, perhaps unfairly, we've seen a lot of criticism of platforms like, say, for instance, people raising money. And I'm just, giving you examples of names for our viewers as well, like, say, GoFundMe, etc., about what is the end. Where is that money really going? How do you see the accountability, etc.? Do you think it's unfair? How have you perhaps addressed that?
It's not unfair. If you are putting in your hard-earned money, you have every right to know what's being done with that money. And to mitigate that issue where Fankind is concerned, we actually have a philanthropy partner on board called Give India. Give India has been, they are a registered NGO themselves, and they've been in existence for over 20 years in our country. They function like an umbrella organization. So they have, for Fankind, they are our partners in the sense that they perform the due diligence for us. They have an ecosystem of more than 500 NGOs pre-vetted under them, for which they have been fundraising. So not only do they have the know-how and the reach, but they even know the process of everything that the NGO has to do physically to make a program on ground work. So if there are any admin costs related to it, to a partner like Give India, there's nothing that is not black and white. They know exactly where you're coming from if you're an NGO, and they know how to help you. Accountability is very important, and we are doing our best to make sure that every penny that you have donated via our platform, for which you have received your ATG certificate, you know exactly how it's being helped, which is why we create something called a micro campaign with each NGO at the back end.
Fankind is new. You are a very young entrepreneur.
Yes.
What have been your biggest learnings, perhaps?
We've launched in August of 2019, so yes, we're a tiny toddler learning how to take our first steps at this point. I mean, the biggest learning is that if you don't take yourself seriously, no one around you is going to take you seriously, because maybe it hails from the background that I come from, or maybe it hails because of my gender or my age. When it took me a year to set up Fankind, to get people, to make the whole ecosystem work, because there are lots of small parts that have to come together for Fankind. There is celebrity angle to it, there is the marketing angle to it, there's the tech angle to it, and there is the philanthropy angle to it. So to align everything together took me a really long time, and in that 1 year I realized that even though this is 2018 and 2019, being a girl is actually looked down upon, especially if I am a sole founder. So when I entered meetings for the first 6 months, I was always asked, so when's your boss coming? When's Sir coming? Are we waiting for Sir to begin the meeting? And I was like, I am the only person you're going to be communicating with. So those were like small challenges in the beginning, and also to make people understand that this is a vision for me that I want to build into I'm not doing it to build a brand for myself. I'm doing this to build a business model which is going to be the conduit for fans to talk to their celebrities and reach out to their celebrities over a larger scale. It's not like I'm doing it once and we're done with it. This is being created as a business. So to make people understand that I'm serious about this was also a huge challenge that we faced.
Let's end this interview by then asking you, what you're excited about that you're working on over the next couple of months that you want to leave us with. So much. One or two things that you want to pick.
I mean, the experiences that we have coming on board. Also, the fact that we're working very actively to open the platform for international users. And I'm also looking forward to strategic alliances with brands, like-minded brands that we can bring on board, so that we can have a bigger reach and also make a larger impact in terms of the actual donation amount that goes out there. And just taking right now, I feel like maybe like 0.02% of India knows about Fankind. Growing it in a way that I can at least proudly say that half of India knows that there is a platform called Fankind where you can reach out to any celebrity, not just a Bollywood actor or an actress. So I'm excited to take Fankind and grow it in all of those aspects.
Fantastic work being done by Fankind, Anshula.
Thank you.
Thanks for your time here in studios.
Thank you.
That's all we could manage to pack into tonight's episode. Our contact details coming up on your screens in just a moment. Do let us know what you thought of both these interviews. As we're ending tonight, though, I do want to talk about something that we're very excited by here at the Leaders of Tomorrow, and that's our partnership with ODUP, the most trusted platform when it comes to everything that you need to know about which the hottest startups are, what some of the future trends are looking like, present evaluation, etc. This is a weekly capsule, which is your most in-depth, incisive information capsule on everything that you need to know. Tonight, we're putting the spotlight on SimSim. Do take a look.
SimSim is located in New Delhi and was founded in the year 2018. This startup's total funding raised is $7.5 million. The company's market valuation stood at $20.1 million. Taking a closer look at funding details, SimSim has raised $1.5 million in seed funding and $6 million in Series A funding. That's a wrap-up of our Startup Monitor for this week. We will continue to bring you the most in-depth content on the startup space week after week right here on Leaders of Tomorrow.